Good morning and welcome to another episode of Latino Vegano. And today I'm going to have a special guest in times two. Today I have the pleasure and honor to have a conversation with the T&A Party uh, podcast, actually. So Traci and Amy, they're fellow vegan, plant-based, and the two gals, one bartending and one cooking. The comedy and the conversation is all about rising your vibration with a little touch of humor, of course. So they have a podcast that talk about vegan food, fun, and all type of shenanigans. So it will be an honor for me to have them in our show today and just talk a little bit about their story, their podcast, every project that they got going on. So stay tuned and let's go. Well, hello, good morning. So for
Good
me, it's a pleasure to
morning.
have
Good
Traci and Amy,
morning.
T&A Party here with
How are
Latino Vegana.
ya?
How you guys doing this morning?
Doing okay. How are you?
Great.
Yeah,
It's a Sunday morning and we get to relax a little bit before we both
yeah.
work together. So just enjoying a little morning cup of Joe. I made
That's
sure to match
awesome.
my mug.
There you go. There you go. Amy, you're not drinking anything
No, I'm not drinking anything this morning.
this
So,
morning.
no, I
Hey
just
Amy, what you
decided,
drinking?
yeah. I don't know. What you eating, Tracy?
Well, I am in my
So, no,
kitchen, so
nothing
the
this morning.
possibilities are endless.
Yeah,
Well, I could
definitely.
have Kahlua in my coffee, I guess. I got enough back there. So, there's part
Really?
of the bar, part of the bar.
Ooh, wow.
And
People
I'm
are
sitting
like,
in
That's
front
who
of
what,
are these
my Speedwell.
who
Yeah.
are
yeah.
these girls?
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah. Well,
I mean, and nothing wrong. There's Kahlua upstairs closer to the coffee pot for just in case. So,
so for
yeah.
those that wondering who you guys are, let's
Yeah.
why do we don't go and introduce yourself like Tracy, and go ahead and Amy after that. Like, whatever order you guys gonna go introduce yourself.
Go ahead, Trace.
Okay. Good morning, friends of Roger. I'm Tracy Stickler, and I am cohorts with my fellow friend and coworker Amy. We are of the T&A Party. Of course, it's for Tracy and Amy, right? And I've been plant-based or vegan. Oh my gosh, probably since like 2012-ish. And it's been a wonderful journey. And I met Roger on a vegan cruise, the Holistic Holiday at Sea, which is so fantastic. And we've seen each other in the vegan world just through travels, because we live in different states. But I am just so excited that I took my passion for plant-based cooking, for positive thinking, for spreading joy in the world into a podcast with my hilarious and smart, detail oriented, so creative friend, Amy.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're
So,
welcome.
um, well, yeah. So Tracy and I started working together 5 years ago, almost
Five and a
six,
half,
five
almost
and a
six.
half. Yeah, almost six. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And I have been vegan for 10 years now
mm,
and was vegetarian prior to that.
mm,
And
Mm-hmm.
was struggling to find my way. And actually, it was my job of meeting some vegan clients that had come into the store,
yeah.
and we were just talking as you talk with people, and they helped show me the way. And it was after my dog had passed that I became vegan. She was 14 years old, and all she wanted to do was live, but she was dying, and I couldn't help it. And so then Tracy
Mm,
comes into the store and we hit it off right off the bat. I mean,
mm,
Yeah.
it was instantaneous. She comes in with 2 cups of coffee, one for her and one for her friend who had told her, who was currently employed where we work and was going to a different store to move down to the south part of the state. And I saw her and I said, "Hey, is one of those for me?" She's like, "Oh, let's finish at the store." You know, it was just like right off the bat. And I was like, "Oh, this girl's got a good sense of humor, right?" And then I found out she was going to, you know, be working there. And I screamed to my boss, and we found out we were vegan. We had some mutual friends, and it was just like, I'm like, you got to hire her, so it was great because then, when you have somebody who's vegan, you're almost like you're instantaneously bonded, which is
Right.
great. So
Yeah.
so becoming eating plant-based and becoming vegan for the animals has been a journey. And it's been great to have Traci there. And we just thought, gosh, we have so much in common that we should start a podcast because we're hilarious. So we just feed off each other.
Nice. Oh,
And
we're very humble.
right.
I know. No, it's just one of those things where it's like, gosh, we should just have fun with this. And that's what we're doing. We're having fun with this, but we're also spreading the message of veganism, eating plant-based, being healthy, gratitude, and making a difference as best we can in the world. So that's where I feel about it.
We sit at our desk, like we'll sit at each other's desk all the time, and we're so loud together,
Yeah.
and we're just cracking up, and we're talking about like, this is what I want to do in my life, and let's make vision boards, and let's do this, and we just thought, like this information, like we have so much love in our hearts that we can't just keep this in our little desk area. Like we have to do something with this and spread it. And so I just love that podcasts are a thing now.
Awesome. That's a great story. It's funny you guys say that because I have a very similar story with a friend of mine, Donald, and we had done some live sessions together as well in our Instagram, and it was very similar too. Actually we started working on a project together, and then the first day we walked in, I see this guy, and I was like, hey man, and I think I said something like what are you eating? And he was like, oh, I'm plant-based. I'm like, there's no way I found another guy that does the same thing I do in the IT world, right? It's plant-based too. So like this is a very ironic. And then, well, of course, once you say he says plant-based and I say I'm plant-based, it's like we're automatically brothers, right? So it's like
want to be friends, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like right there automatically. Like I don't want to hear anything else about your own life. I don't know if you like murder or anything else. You just say plant-based. Oh, welcome. We hug each other and like, all right, we're buddies now. Yeah. So we're brothers in that sense. So and then every time he go out like, it's a new restaurant, let's go. So that's how we connect. And to this day we still talk. That was quite a couple of years ago. And so it's interesting that you guys said that because you connect with people from that perspective. But I wanted to ask Traci, Chuck, can you share how actually you went vegan? Because Amy mentioned a little bit of her story, but I don't know if I was able to have a glance of how you actually turned vegan or what inspired you to
turn. Well, my dearest friend Karen Oxley,
I do,
and wifey
Karen.
of Robert. Cheek.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I were roommates many years ago, and she was just kind of like curious and dabbling into education, and her boss was vegetarian at the time, and so he was reading it's the BITCH Kitchen BITCH book. I don't know if we can say that here. So I'm going to spell it for all the children in the air.
Keep it clean. All right.
And she was reading that book. And then she found out that there was like this 30-day Go Plant-Based challenge with an online program. And so she asked me, she's like, hey, do you want to try this, 30-day Go Plant-Based challenge? And I was like, okay. But, like I go to the gym, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. And we did it. And eventually I like kind of fell off the bandwagon because I told her, I was like, I think I need this like processed turkey meat to help me work out because, I go to the gym like 4 or 5 days a week. And I was still, it was brand new to me. So I didn't have the education. And of course I loved animals. And I just thought, I need it, or I love them, but I have to have it to survive. I was in that mindset. Mm-hmm. And then I found the book, The Kind Diet by Alicia Silverstone. Big heart bombs.
Oh, look at that.
Going out to Alicia. And I read her book, and it's more like macrobiotic based,
Right.
but it's a
Right.
beautiful book. And I just said, I feel like I'm sitting down with her in a coffee shop having conversations, and she has just such a great writing style where there's like little blurbs and little information sides. And I think Robert Cheek is actually in her book, Small World. And that one just, it was just like a thing for me where I just went, you know what, I'm going to take this more seriously now. And I might have started, you know, with like, she calls it like flexitarian.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the safe step for me. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people like, start where you're at, do what feels right, and just bring in more of the good. And then you'll be able to let go of things. And that was the start of the journey. And then I went on Holistic Holiday at Sea. I got a Veg News magazine, and that was like my information for soaking it up at the time. And I saw an advertisement for Holistic Holiday, and I called Karen. I think she lived in Washington at the time. And I said, Karen, I'm going on this cruise. I don't care if I'm going by myself, but I'm going to do it because like
Mm-hmm.
all of the doctors and authors and cookbook authors are, you know, are out there, and I want to go and I want to learn and have fun. And she said, what do you think, I can come too? Like, are you serious? Oh my God, of course. And that is the cruise where she met her future husband, Robert Cheek.
Shake, yeah. And the rest is history, right?
The rest is history. And so that, all of that,
Mm-hmm.
like Alicia Silverstone's book and Holistic Holiday at Sea gave me the education, the taste of amazing plant-based food that made me go, oh my gosh, this is actually really good, and I'm feeling great, and I'm full. And then I got to go hear all the doctors, you know, hear the people in person to make me realize that the information that was in my head was not correct. So it's an ever learning journey. And I just said that, I sat down at Amy's desk yesterday and I was like, Aim, I got to jump back into re-education of nutrition, because I was having a conversation with this guy at a party last night, and he was like, oh, I'll never go vegan, but you know, I hurt my shoulder and I haven't been able to work out, and I need this much protein in order to make it work. And it was a really good conversation, but I couldn't give him the right information. I just like pulled up Instagram and showed him. I'm like, they've never had meat. Go learn from them. And I showed him Robert's book. And so it, you know, we're always growing. We're always needing to keep that learning going.
Yeah, absolutely. Not too clueless, right? From Alicia.
Yeah, yes.
That was good.
But
for those that know Alicia Silverstone, she was in a movie called Clueless. For the universe, right? Amy, I have a question for you. How's it has been having vegan friends or plant-based friends like Traci in this case influential in your life and your transition in everything, right? Can
Well,
you
I
speak on
think
that?
it's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it's the camaraderie
Okay.
and the fact that we're on the same page, the fact that we have a safe space. It's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you're always, because of the world we live in currently, we're always on guard a little bit. So it's been safe. And then but then we realize, gosh, you know, there's so many good things to discover and flavors and things you can do with mushrooms and other wonderful plant foods that you never thought of. So we can bounce off each other. And
We
if you
get to
think
feed
that,
each
you know,
other.
yeah, exactly.
At work.
Yeah. That if things get a little bland or monotonous, I guess, that you're like, yeah, I mean, we look up stuff and let's try this. And because we have our podcast, then we can say, yeah, let's try, you know, maybe we could do this on the podcast. Then we try to pair something good to drink with it, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, because it doesn't have to be,
right,
you know, just one way. So yeah, so it's been fun to discover, you know, I guess when you're with like-minded people, it makes it easier. But then it's also good to know what other people know, right? So Traci
right.
has knowledge that I have, and maybe I have knowledge that she doesn't have. So it's been great to share that. And then it's just that instant bond. And then I remember when Traci came in to the where we worked together, and then Karen had come in to visit, and then learning that Karen was vegan was almost like that scene in Seinfeld where Elaine and Jerry and George are at the door and they're like, "What?" with each other, jumping up and down. It was like, yay! So
Yeah.
then you're
More
like,
vegan friends.
yeah, exactly. So it was really, it's been really nice to have that grow for me,
Mm.
and it's really the outside circle, because of Tracy, because she knows a lot
Yeah.
of people.
She does. Yeah, she's
I
pretty
get
famous.
around. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She's well known. She's a pretty famous influencer. Yes.
I have a
Yes.
loud
Yeah.
mouth too.
Yeah, I'm shy. No,
No,
just
I
kidding.
don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I would like to know if you can speak about some of the, because a lot of people think that, when you're vegan, you're boring, you don't eat a salad and all these different things. But alcohol, also, since you've been coming from a bartending background, or you're still a bartending heart. However, can you speak on that?
In the home.
In the home? Okay. Can you speak about someone like alcoholic beverage that you can convert into vegan and you can have it as a vegan, or what are some of those? I mean, what are your
Well,
favorite?
the easiest thing is probably like a pina colada. It's usually made
Okay.
with coconut milk, but
Yeah.
you can make anything that's has milk in it, like a White Russian.
Right.
Easy peasy, right? Silk brand has a heavy creamer that you can buy, all
Mm,
plant-based. You just substitute that, and it comes in small containers, so you're not feeling like you're wasting a whole thing. But you could use whatever. I just like the thickness of that for a White Russian. Um, yeah, you have to look, because there's a lot of alcohols that are not, and you have to double check and make sure that they are. It's been on and off again with Godiva dark chocolate. If I make a chocolate martini or something, but you can make the flavors with like creme de cacao, and amaretto and other flavors. You just have to learn how to be creative, and it's just trial and error to see what works best, for some sort of beverage. But really, if anything can be done vegan, anything. There's
Well,
not
and
one thing that we can't do
crazy.
that I know of so far.
Abe, remember I even found us the vegan, like if you were to make a whiskey sour, and usually that calls for egg whites, and I
Oh,
got
yes,
us,
yes, yes. Thank
it's like
you. Yes.
I don't know
Hmm.
if that's
I have
at
it.
your bar or if it's
Yeah, I
refrigerated, but
do.
it's just
No,
this little, like it totally makes a frothy
it's
drink.
called
It's so
it's
good.
called egg foam, and so
Yeah,
you
there
can
you
make a
go.
whiskey sour. There it is.
Well, it's called
It's
free foam, right? Fee
Oh,
from
fee
free
foam.
from
Fee
fee
It's probably
foam.
fee fi fo fum. Fee foam. So
Mm.
right there, you can make that, and then anything that needs certain types of sugars, you can use agave or maple syrup or things like that, because not all sugars are
I
vegan.
was at
So
a
you just have to look
fancy,
around a little bit.
yeah, I was at like a fancy hotel bar when I asked for a certain drink, and I told him I was vegan, and he's like, "Oh, I got this for you." And he made me this delicious cocktail, and or maybe it was Karen because she likes the sweeter ones. And they had that product. So there are
Yeah.
products out there, and I
Yes.
love
And
that bars
but if you
are
want to,
including
yeah,
it.
they are. And but if you want to make it yourself, the aquafaba, the chickpea juice, does the same
Yeah,
thing. So you
yeah.
can blend with that if you need to. So
A little
there's,
more whole food.
yeah, there's lots of options, but
Little more food.
Just keep the beans out of your drink.
yeah, it's sometimes just it's nice and easy, because then I'm not opening. If I don't feel like having the chickpeas that week, you're wasting a can of chickpeas, and
Yeah.
it's not like they're expensive, but wasting food is not a good thing, especially when people are starving around the world. So I'm not a big fan of wasting food. So if there's a product out there that I'm only going to use every so often that's shelf stable, then I'd like to use that, and try to keep things as clean as possible. But I don't know that having a beverage is as clean as possible. But the if you want to make it non-alcoholic, there's brands of non-alcoholic, like whiskey and tequila and
Mhm.
rum. And so if you want to make it all taste as close as you can get to an alcoholic beverage, there's ways to do that. Lots
And
of fun
we try
items.
those on our podcast as well. You know,
Mhm.
we'll try non-alcoholic wines or cocktails,
Okay.
and Amy knocks it out of the ballpark. I mean, you know, we
Yeah.
were doing a cleanse once, and we made these once. We were making these non-alcoholic drinks, and they were delicious.
Yeah.
They
So
were.
you
Mhm.
absolutely, you can do it if you come home at night, you've been drinking your water all day and you're hydrated and you want to have just something a little different
Right.
with your meal. You can, there's even, you know, there's like some that are herbal, so
Mm.
it's not that you're just throwing weird stuff together, but there's a lot of options out there, and we like highlighting those on our podcast.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
great.
and I can say they're apps to check too. Like if you don't not
Um,
sure, there's an apps and they have scanners through your camera. And there's like even for food, you know, it'll say, is it vegan? And it'll scan the barcode if you want to double check. So they've done the research, and there's one for alcoholic beverages and wine too. So anyway, I'm sorry
Is
to
it
interrupt, but
there's Barnivore if you want
yeah,
to check
Barnivore.
for like vegan.
Barnivore.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's not much different to like food. Like you can substitute some of your favorite recipes and turn them vegan, or you can find alternative
Mhm.
products out there that actually
Yeah.
cater for this group of people. I've seen a lot of alcohols in alcohol stores, not necessarily that there are vegan stores that they identify on the label that this is plant-based or this is vegan or
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Yeah.
I think it make it a lot easier these days now to
I hope
choose,
so.
including
Yeah.
products like Bailey. Now they have a vegan
Yeah.
version, right? Oh, a plant-based
Mhm.
version, right?
Amy brings that into work each Christmas. the
Really?
almond milk,
The
the
almond milk.
almond milk Baileys.
Yeah, I have it.
Yummy.
It's right up there. It's right up on my shelf. The Baileys.
Getting
Look at that.
hoarding it.
Wait, you should get
Do you
a
see it?
paid advertisement by then, by the way.
Woo.
Now that you should showcasing that.
Someday we'll get there. Goals.
Yeah. And there's recipes to make it too. I can't remember where I was scrolling, but I was scrolling and saw a recipe for that because yeah, there's I love that a lot of these companies are now on board with that to make it so that we can all enjoy the holidays. So
Yeah.
Whoa. Amy, whoa.
yeah.
Trace, so what is your favorite meals? Like, what do you like cooking? Tell us a little bit about. Do you have any specific dish that you like? Like, oh, this is my favorite. I
I'm
really
a
do a great
sucker
job of that.
for
Yeah.
Mexican food.
Do
I
you?
love Mexican food.
Uh-huh.
You know, I love spices.
Okay.
So, and it starts with Mexican food, I think, because that's where my love has been for so many years. But then that also moves into like the earthy spices of Indian food, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
for a long time Indian foods was like that's the meal that I like take home, you know, like pick it up and take it home. But I've been really trying to get into making curries more,
Mm.
and they're so delicious. They're easy to make. We even have an Indian store here in town called Turmeric, and I love going there and talking to them about like, okay, I want to make this dish, and they'll say, oh, you got to get this spice, and they'll even have like the really unique vegetables. So it's fun trying those different cuisines from around the world
Yeah.
because you just learn you have these palettes that, you know, may be unfamiliar, and you try a new spice and your body loves it. So Adam is very kind in letting me just be like, never made this before, here you go. So I'm an experimental chef, but I follow recipes. So
Right.
I'd say Mexican, Indian, and which also kind of plays into like the you know, Ethiopia. No, we do have an Ethiopian restaurant, but I
We
have not
do.
had
Which is very
that.
good.
Is that Raska?
Well,
I think that's Raska. But what I meant was
can't think of her name.
Himalayan
Hannah's
Bistro.
place.
Yeah.
You have to eat with your
Himalayan
hand, right?
Bistro. With
Yeah,
not
it's like a bread type of
yes,
it's
I
like a
was just
tortilla
talking
type.
about this like 2 nights ago. I kid you
Yeah.
The
not.
non bread.
It's not it's not
Oh.
nan.
No.
It's like something like anji or anjera. I'm
Onjera,
sorry,
okay.
listeners, people who are like, oh my gosh, Traci, get it. injera, something like that. But it almost looks like it's like a thick tortilla, and it
Yeah.
has kind
Ooh.
of like honeycomb. It's spongy, and
Right.
so
You grab that.
injera is, I want to say, you use
Yeah.
it as your grabber.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you eat it too, I was saying. Same time.
Yeah, or
Get
you
in my
just
belly.
now on that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of, sorry, I feel like I'm getting a spotlight here. It doesn't have a lot of flavor to it because I
Right.
think it's supposed to just go for the food, you know?
Right.
You don't want to take too much flavor away from your meal.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I've been to a few Ethiopian restaurants here in town. And they always order like this platter that comes like with a bunch of like different type of beans and whatnot. I don't even know how to call that, but and then they come with
They
a
have great flavors.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and so with our podcast, we always have, hey
Yeah.
Traci, what you eating? Hey Amy, what you drinking? And you know, we
Mm,
try to pair them, but our goal is just to give people easy side dishes that they can make that they're always going to be plant-based. And then we have an Instagram page where we share, you know, the link or the recipe so people can go home and make that. And Amy's a fantastic photographer, so they're visually fun to look at as well. And you know, food is what my family has always used to celebrate. We gather around food. My mom
yeah.
wrote a cookbook in the 80s, and
Nice.
I'm veganizing it. You know, like I just
Yeah.
made my great grandmother's potato salad
Nice.
for
That's awesome.
my future sister-in-law is moving to Wisconsin. So I'm like, potato salad, of course. And so I just veganized it. And my friend who tried it there, he goes, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so good. It's better than the deli. And I was like,
Yes.
yes,
Winning. There's
go
not,
granny.
there's
Spiritual
nothing
high
better
five.
than that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amy, I was just gonna ask you, what has been your favorite podcast episode so far?
You know,
Ooh.
we love our Halloween. So I would say we love, Trace and I love the spooky. We love all the haunted
woo.
stories
Yeah.
and things like that. So we like anything to do with that. So I think
Yeah.
that's been really fun. And then you get to make fun food for it too.
Got it.
So yeah, so we made little mummy weenies, like little wrapped up weenies last year.
Yeah,
And we had
with
some,
faces.
yeah, with faces and stuff like that. So
Really?
you know, it was fun. If it was fun just creating some, I don't know, there's just something about, you know, if party's in your name,
Yeah.
Halloween party, yeah, everybody loves a Halloween party. So I would say those kinds of things. And then being able to interview people this year has been so much
Yeah.
fun, being able to interview you and Robert and just so many people to kind of have that camaraderie and get together and know that it's a worldly thing now.
How about you,
Yeah.
Tracy?
So yeah. So I'm going to
Well,
say,
and
so we're,
go ahead.
yeah, all of them are so interesting on different levels. So I don't know. I mean, I think we love the Halloween ones the best. So.
Okay.
And well, and I was going to tailgate off of that in that when we do our like holiday podcasts, we're also talking about like facts and history. And by the way, did you know where Halloween comes from? You know, what's the history of it? And I felt like a dummy so many times where, you know, we're talking about the history of a holiday and I'm like, I had no clue. And that was really fun to learn. So we put in like some fun facts in our podcast if we are celebrating something, because that's what we want to do. We want to celebrate life. We want to laugh in our podcast, but we also want to give people, you know, tidbits of information, golden nuggets that they can walk away with and be like, wow, I didn't know that. And I feel better than when I started listening.
Right.
You know, we want to put them in a good mood. So we have a lot of missions within each podcast.
Okay. So that's kind of like the main reason why you guys always say you're going to help people raise their vibration because you're going to be able to impact their life some way, somehow, and include some laughter, if you don't know
Yeah.
the recipe, you learn some recipe or whatever it is. Okay.
It
Okay.
it
I like
doesn't
that.
take much to raise your vibration. It starts in here.
Right.
And you know, people can pop onto the internet and you can spend 5 minutes there and you can walk away feeling crappy
Right.
because you saw a bunch of negative stuff, or you can
Precisely.
walk away feeling inspired, touched, you can laugh, so
Yeah.
all of that raises your vibration, and then you go out into
Mm,
the world and you raise other people's vibration with your energy. So it's every time we pop online, it's a choice of how do I want to feel and what outcome do I want.
so do you recommend people to get online or stay away from the social media?
No, I think there's education online.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I mean, we have to grow somehow.
Right.
Otherwise it was books, and not everyone's picking up a book to read. But with being online, we can multitask now. Like when I get ready in the mornings, I'll put on a YouTube and I'll listen, or I'll put on a
Right.
podcast. And I feel like that you just have to make good choices.
Right. Yeah.
It's all out there, it's all out there when you walk into the world, but choose your direction, because where focus flows, energy goes.
Right. Yeah, I like to
Yeah.
see and say also like those are tools, right? You can utilize those
Mm-hmm.
tools wisely, or
Yeah.
you can use those tools for some different things. So
Right.
if you use your tools wisely, then you can maximize in the potential of those tools, and then be able to get the benefit out of it to the
Yeah.
fullest, instead of not taking advantage of it or using it from a different perspective, from a wrong perspective. You want to put it from the other terms. So I
Right.
totally agree with you on that one. What been, Amy, someone with like the most I don't know, maybe you can want to share us a story that has been impactful in your life, that people can take that experience from you and then see the positive of it, of the outcome, if there's any. Hopefully there is one. And then I don't know, make changes in their life or apply them. Do you have anything that you can share with the audience?
In which aspect though?
In any aspect of your life. It could be from a health perspective, it can be from a work perspective, or it can be from a profession perspective, or just simplify
Oh, I
them
think,
to
yeah,
family wise or relationship.
that's a lot. So I would say it's almost all of that. Once
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
try to focus on having a more positive mindset.
Hmm.
And it's some days it's a struggle. Some days you're frustrated, and one person
Right.
just sets the whole thing off, and then it just avalanches and snowballs from there to maybe other people in your life that you don't mean to. So then you have to remember, but you don't have to. Um, I got a health coach a few years ago, and she was
Mm.
very helpful at changing my mindset. I was struggling at work with some people, and she's like, just walk away. Just, or even if you have to say, oh, I forgot to do something, you don't have to get into every conversation you're invited to. So, and then
There's a
trying
bug.
to erase the negative parts of whatever you're feeling in that moment, so that it doesn't carry out other places, and just try to stay positive and do the good things. And it's just trying to be healthy, right? So if you are, I try to walk the dogs twice a day every day, and getting those endorphins, right? And that makes you happy. So I
Mm.
always, always looking for what makes you happy. And my husband and I like to watch, you know, we like to stream or binge watch some TV shows, and maybe it's right now we're watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, which
Right.
is, it's just so funny, and I think you're a product of your surroundings. So if you surround yourself with good people
Yeah.
and positive people, it's just going to radiate,
Environment
and
is
you,
huge. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that it's just everything. It's like, trying to eat better, and trying to get exercise. And now that Tracy and I are kind of on this blue zone kick, right? We're like,
Oh
I
yes.
just I just stumbled across it on Netflix one day, and I was like, Blue Zone, people living to over 100. Oh yeah, let's look at that. And so
We
there's
talked
blue
about
zones
that
in the
in our
world.
last podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
we want to talk about the people and what they're doing around the world to live to be over 100, and it's not like they're frail and weak, and they're eating a plant-based diet. They're walking every day. They have gardens to tend to. They play games with their family members. They keep their brains active. And the one lady from Okinawa, Japan, she just said, be happy. She's like, you got to have a good mindset. So I think discovering the secrets from people around the world is kind of interesting about these certain pockets. And there's a place in Italy and Greece. There's a place in California. They did an experiment, I think, in Minnesota, of a small population town of the Blue Zone, trying to make it happen there. So where am I missing? So I got Okinawa, Japan.
Actually, you know what? I think Okinawa is off the list now because they're bringing in more like Americanized, the younger generations. So they're kind of like they're fuzzy. They're fuzzy blue. Unfortunately,
they're getting they're light purple. Blue right now. Yeah,
because they're not eating the purple sweet potato.
Right, right, and the purple sweet potato. Yeah, so they talk about that the zones are shrinking because of American influence on that kind of stuff. But it'd be nice to see if we could, learn more about that and spread that information out there. Just because, if I could be full faculty and walking and playing games and having fun till after 100, why not?
Absolutely.
So I think that's a great idea. So that we're kind of exploring that right now too. So I think sometimes on social media, if you're looking for, they watch what you're looking for, right? And if you're looking up plant-based recipes and things like that, they're going to feed that to you in your feed. And so it's like, sorry, yeah, great, But I think the Blue Zone thing is just kind of a new up and coming on Netflix. So check it out. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Hey, Roger.
Yeah, I seen the documentary. Go ahead, Traci.
Ask me, hey, Traci, what you eating tonight?
Hey, Traci, what you eating tonight?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to be eating Blue Zone Diet dinner party.
There you go.
That's right.
We're
having
T&A,
a Blue Zone party.
Yeah, we're doing a T&A party at my mom's house. She's hosting. Nice. I love that. Like, she listened to our podcast all about the Blue Zone diet, and my mom sends out this message and she's like, hey girls, I want to have a Blue Zone dinner. And so we're all bringing a dish from Blue Zone recipes. I mean, you don't have to have. Dan Butner has a wonderful book out right now. Is it Butner? Butner?
I don't know if it's Butner or Butner. I'm sorry. I wish I knew how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
And so it's, it's like supposed to be kind of like a coffee table book because it's very visually beautiful. So we, of course, recommend that book, but you can also find recipes online if people want to do a Blue Zone dinner. And we're doing like tacos. I made a banana bread for dessert. Amy's making a lovely appetizer. Karen is bringing minestrone soup, which Dan makes like every week. And so it'll be fun just to have a healthy meal together and for this wonderful theme that's coming out in the world right now. I love that Dan took time to make sure that it was going to be like out with a bang and great information.
Yeah. That was a strong documentary. Actually, I watched it recently, not too long ago.
Yeah.
I think it was last week.
Yeah, because it just came out.
Yeah.
End of August, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
August. So, wow, this is great. So the people can listen to y'all's last episode about the Blue Zone. And it's out. It's available, right?
Please do.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
We have listener goals. We're a new baby podcast.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have several episodes now. It's not new anymore.
Season 2. We made it. We made a whole season, and we recently we feel so grateful because someone heard us and said, you girls need a studio because you are going to lose listeners. And we have one. And so we're with Fort Collins Public Media in a professional studio. We have a wonderful sound system and we can bring in guests and our sound is just so much better now. I mean, I still, of course, encourage people to listen to season 1 because I feel like
Yeah.
it's doable. But sometimes Tracy's at the bottom of a toilet, and it'll change throughout the show, but it's still entertaining, hopefully. And so we're really thankful to just be growing ourselves and having the fact that people listened to us and believed in us and wanted to get our sound out there.
That's always awesome. So what's
Yeah.
next for the T&A Party? Any new upcoming projects? This is the time to plug those projects, social media,
Ooh.
everything. Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is that we've got a lot of people in line to be interviewed. And I mean, we've got like people who are amazing at like astrology. I think we just also interviewed a friend of mine who's a world-renowned psychic medium. He was on a TV show not too long ago. But I also am going to be interviewing Mexican vegan chef, Chef Miguel from my favorite resort, Xcaret in Riviera Maya. And at this resort, they have an all vegan restaurant in a cave, like a legit cave overlooking beautiful blue waters. And we eat there every morning. It is gourmet and fresh made juices, little juice shots. And they also just started serving dinner. And we had a wonderful dinner there, candlelight in the cave. Oh, so beautiful. And so I'm really excited to get an interview with Chef Miguel. He's agreed to it. We just, it's just figuring out schedules. So within the next year, we've got, a dynamic of conversations for all types of audiences. So we're not just always talking about plant-based. We will always have plant-based food, but that's the part of spreading positivity and helping each other grow, of, having an open mind and just listening to different topics, because you never know what we're going to throw at you.
Absolutely. That's great.
Fun stuff for the season too. We try to be seasonal. Whatever is going on this season, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's going on in the world. Like, tell me something good too. We have part that's tell me something good, so that we want to say what happened that's really good in the world, so we can talk about that a little bit. So
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you guys so much success, some of the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our house
You're helping.
is always open for you guys. You guys can come to the show, talk about it anytime you want, and you guys are welcome. I really appreciate you guys for the work that you're doing, not only from a plant-based perspective, but also from an empowerment perspective as well. So I think you guys are doing an amazing job. I love the show. I follow the show. I listen to the show, and I will continue doing so for seasons to come.
Oh, we so appreciate you, Roger.
Appreciate
you're
you.
Welcome.
You're the best. It was an honor having you as our first internet guest, and we love your show. We love what you're spreading out there.
Yes, we love it.
It's awesome to be a part of the plant-based community. We're just so honored to be out there.
Yeah, same way. So
and follow Roger's exercise tips too.
Yes. I'll have to be doing that for my upcoming wedding.
There you go.
Yeah.
When's the wedding? You already have a date set?
Next June.
June?
Mid-June. Yeah.
Wow.
So gotta lose that wobble that I got there.
Tracy getting married. That's so exciting.
Oh, I know. Big girl pants. We talk about that in the podcast as well.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you want to give the audience a podcast so they can listen to it, and social media also? Your handle?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're on Spotify, Amazon, Google Music.
Apple.
Yeah. I mean, I'm personally a big fan of Spotify. That's kind of where we load up everything. And then we have our Instagram page. Amy, do you ever the Instagram? It's one of those where we always have to link it, because
I know T.N.A_Party podcast. I mean, it's like, it's one of those things we can't. We link it every podcast. So
yeah.
And I'll link
because
it.
that's just fun to go to for social media to see the visuals of
Yeah.
what
Correct.
Amy's photography, but project shooting.
Yeah, no problem. I'll link the podcast and the Instagram in the
Okay.
description of each episode.
Great.
Yeah.
So that
Thank
way
you.
people can go straight to it and follow you guys. So that's all I have. I mean, thank you guys
Thank you.
so much for taking the time. I know you guys have a very busy schedule, both of you guys, and just
Yeah,
taking
we got to
time
get ready for
uh,
worky work.
all right.
Mhm.
Well, I'll see you guys soon and keep doing what you guys are doing and much love, okay?
Okay.
We love you,
All right.
Roger. Peace
Bye,
and
y'all. I love you
blessings,
Thank
too.
friends.
you.
Thank
Bye.
Peace
you.
loves vegan.
Peace love vegan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.